Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do the BookTube Newbie Tag. I kind of put this off. I probably should have done this a couple months ago, but I haven't done very many tags. Kind of felt a little intimidated to actually go on as a BookTube newbie, I guess. I don't know. And so I thought if I had a couple videos under my belt, maybe I'd feel a little easier about this, but I'm finding it just as hard as I thought it would. This was created by Brenda C back in 2014, but it's a tag that's been floating around, so anybody who's new usually does it. I'm just a little late to the game. So anyway, so we're going to do the 7 questions. I have them listed down below. So question number 1 is, why did you start this channel? Biggest reason for me was that I want to talk to people who talk about books. I was so amazed when I found out that there was this thing called BookTube, and I found out just this, end of December, early January of this year, and I was stunned that this has been out there, and I didn't know anything about it because I love books, and again, I'm a big reader, and I write for fun, and so to me it was amazing that there was all these people talking about books, and now again, there's people talking about books that I had never heard of, and I go to the bookstore all the time. So it was really cool that this was out here where there was this, people were all discussing what they liked, what they didn't like, why they liked it. And I came to the conclusion, it took a few months for me to kind of get over the shock that that was out there, and that I kind of felt like I wanted to start to interact with the other booktubers, and actually I want to be part of this community. So I started this channel in order to make friends and to order to get myself out there, in order to show that I like these kind of books. Do you like these kind of books? Or is there ones I should be reading? Or, are you interested in anything that I've been reading? It's more of exploratory, looking for friends. So that's kind of why I started this channel. Question number 2 is, what are some fun, unique things you can bring to BookTube? I don't know about fun and unique. I have 2 cats, Cooper and Truman, who make appearances here and there because I don't close the door on them because that would be a disaster. Anyway, so they're in and out, but I know a lot of people have their pets on here, so that's not too unique. So that's more fun. Let's see here, unique. So the only thing I could think of is that I don't read in just one genre. I am very much all across the board kind of reader. I shop at a lot of different sections of the bookstores, and I buy a lot of books from all over. And the library, I get a lot of stuff there too that's all over the board. So I read a lot of different kinds of fantasies. I read horror, I read sci-fi, I read literary fiction, I read classics and nonfiction history. I read romances, paranormal romances, historical fiction. I'm across the board. There's a lot of different things that I read in different times. Like, I don't read like one of everything every month, but I go through little moods, but I try to read differently. So I'm not just reading the same thing all the time. So to me, I think the unique thing is some channels are all basically one kind of genre, while I think I cover a lot of different kinds. So you never know what you're going to get when I do a wrap-up. Anyway, so question number 3 is, what are you most excited about for this channel? Again, coming back to what I said earlier, is I would like to make friends. I want interaction. I want to be part of the community. I want to find out about new books that I didn't know about, that I'll be interested in, or that somebody else really loved for some good reasons that I want to try it. I'm excited to share what I enjoyed, what books I liked, and maybe be able to discuss that, hey, I didn't like this book, and did anybody else feel the same way? Not feel so alone, I guess, in my reading. I think it's kind of cool to go, not quite to go back to what it was like in school when you had to all discuss a book that we all read for class, because that was not as much fun. But this is more, I want to talk about books with people who love to read and are reading a lot and enjoying the books, and I don't know, and I want to see their perspective on the same thing that I just read. I think that's some of the most interesting things, because I don't always see things that other people do, and I think that is what's so neat, because I might love something because I didn't see something that I didn't mean to be blind to, but I was, and I just think would be so fun, is to interact with people who saw something differently than me. Question number 4 is, why do you love reading? Why do I love reading? I just, it's great. I don't know okay, that's a bad, let me restart. So why do I love reading? Reading to me is like the first thing I want to do when I have spare time. It's what I'm drawn to. I want to pick up that book, whatever I'm working on, just to dive into that and enjoy something that's not my life, which sounds like my life is bad. That's not, it's not like that. It's just, to me, reading is not fully escapism, but I know it's part of that. I'm transported to somewhere else. I'm transported to other people's situations and their problems and their issues that I don't have to deal with, or I've never thought about, or never had to deal with, like had to think about it or worry about it. And again, that's across every genre. Like, I mean, there are mysteries and murder mysteries that I don't want to be involved in a murder mystery ever. But the thing is it's like I get drawn into those worlds. So I love reading the fact that you're pulled into these situations and stories that you really don't want to ever have happen to you, ever. But they are interesting and compelling because they are so different from your experience. And I like that, especially when authors can pull you in and you have to know what happens in the end. And so to me, reading is, and there's just so much discovery, and there's little nuggets of real life in there that I would not know about. And I've learned so many things from books that I was not told. That makes it that you always are learning something, even when you're reading something that's what somebody might consider fluff. And I just don't think everything is fluff. I think there's always something in there, because I think it's all based on human interactions and relationships. And as I said, my favorite parts are always like the mysteries and stuff, but I don't know. Reading is just something that I think is very, it's very nourishing, I guess is what I want to say. So anyway, I don't know. Question number 5 is, what book or book series got you into reading? So I'm going to make 2 examples just because they were pretty close together in my teen years. So in 7th grade, I was told to read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie from one of my teachers, and changed everything about how I read, because before that I was reading very much children books and like Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys and that kind of thing. And so I already knew I liked mysteries, but she suggested Agatha Christie, and that changed everything, because again, this is an adult mystery writer, and it has a lot of elements I wasn't ready for and things. But what I liked about it is that it pulled me into this mystery. And again, that is the book with the messed up ending that you're like, what? I still don't know, even to this day, everything about that one. And I've read it over a couple of times over the years, but it was like it just opened my mind to all these mysteries that were written by authors that were not in the children's section and stuff. So to me, that was huge, because I read a lot of Agatha Christie after that. Now, I still did not read a huge amount, but I was drawn more to mysteries or things with mysteries in them. And then in 8th grade, my dad took me to a used bookstore one day, and I got a trilogy of fantasy novels, the Dragonlance Chronicles series. So if you know, this is like a D&D kind of retelling thing, or novelization kind of stories from the D&D world, from the Dragonlance thing. And it's Dragons of Autumn Twilight was the first book. Now, the first book took me 8 months to read, and that's really kind of sad now that I think about it, because it's not that long of a book. But for me, the epic fantasy just took so long for me to sit down and read and understand what was going on. But once I got through that book, it opened my eyes to fantasy and how much I loved all those elements of the dragons and the elves and the dwarves. And yeah, it was very classic, kind of structuring, because again, this is back in the 80s. So it was so mind-blowing. And then I knew that I loved fantasy from then on. And I read the next couple books really fast after that, because then I realized I wanted to read, and I let myself have time to do it. So those are the 2 series I say were huge on me, as got me into reading, because again, I found out I really loved mysteries, and adult reading or adult books at that time. And then fantasy is just still going to be one of my core favorites. Doesn't matter what kind of fantasy, just fantasy is one of my favorites. Anyway, genres. So question number 6 is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktuber? Mostly I'd ask about reviews. I think that's the hardest thing for me right now is when I get to a week, end of the month wrap up and I'm talking about stuff, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not sure how far you should go with your reviews to make them still clear of why you didn't like something without giving everything away. So I would ask their opinions on how they go about when they decide to do a rant video or a gush video on a certain book. Because I've had that kind of experience recently where there's a book I really want to rant about and there's another book I really want to gush about, and I'm like, oh. And I'd ask questions on, what they would think about that. And then I'd also ask them to be my friend. And then question number 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? And I think mostly it's just getting out there. I think for me, it's not that I have the channel up here. That doesn't mean anybody's seen, or not too many people are seeing it, but it's more of I need to be more interactive on other people's channels to show that I'm here. And I think that's a big challenge for anybody starting out, is that you need to put yourself out there, even if it's just writing comments on, hey, I like that book, or hey, yeah, I want to read that book too, or hey, if you're doing a buddy read, I want to do that. And I think that's the hardest thing for me, is getting that out there. And I've been trying to do more of that to show I'm out here and getting interested in following some of them on other medias like Twitter and Instagram and other things where I'm, not quite as active, but I'm trying to be to kind of get into things. And I'm actually doing some of the, readathons recently. So that's been kind of fun because then I get to interact with people who are also actively reading, and I like to see what they're reading and doing stuff. So I think, again, the challenges is really just I'm trying to make friends, and it's still hard to make friends, even if it's an online presence instead of in real life. So anyway, well, that's the questions. I've made it through. Hopefully you've made it through this too, because I always talk too much. Anyway, so I don't know how to end this, but to say, hey, if you want to talk about books or are interested in anything, please look at my channel. If not, hey, do this tag if you're a newbie. I think a lot of people have done it when they start, and I think it's a great way to get yourself noticed, I think. I'm not sure if that'll help me or all, but I'm going to try. Anyway, oh well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.